The quiet glow-up no one saw coming. Selena Gomez didn't erupt onto the adult celebrity scene with a controversial photo shoot. She didn't stage a viral meltdown or drop a shock album overnight. While her Disney peers were grabbing headlines with wild antics and bold reinventions, Selena did something far more difficult. She evolved, quietly, carefully, and in her own time. But behind that subtle shift was a story of unimaginable pressure: lupus, depression, fame fatigue, heartbreak, and a media machine that questioned if she'd ever be more than the safe Disney girl next to Miley's fire and Demi's rawness. Selena didn't just have to change her look, she had to rewrite how people saw her. She was told she couldn't sing, that she wasn't edgy enough, that she'd never break away from being Justin's ex. But she never chased approval. Instead, she vanished when she needed to, came back when she was ready, and let her truth, not her image, do the talking. In an industry addicted to drama and speed, her glow-up wasn't just stunning, it was strategic. She reemerged with something no stylist or PR campaign can create: depth, substance, stillness, and a brand of beauty rooted in resilience, not trends. This is the story of how Selena Gomez turned pain into power, and why her transformation matters more than anyone ever expected. Before the Met Galas, the makeup empire, and the confessional lyrics, Selena Gomez was a teenage wizard on cable TV. Wizards of Waverly Place gave her early fame, but also a limiting label: the good girl, the one who played it safe, the girl next door who was polished, polite, and most dangerously in Hollywood, predictable. Compared to the chaos of Miley Cyrus or the emotional rawness of Demi Lovato, Selena seemed tame. She wasn't the wild child. She wasn't the powerhouse vocalist. And because of that, the industry and much of the public didn't take her seriously. Tabloids barely mentioned her unless it involved who she was dating. Even Disney's own marketing leaned into her as the balanced one, a counterweight to her peers' firestorms. Behind the scenes, she was trying to break free. Selena pushed for more control over her projects. She wanted to grow, to challenge herself, to show she wasn't just another product of the Disney machine. But every time she tried, she was pulled back into the same image: sweet, simple, and safe. The result? A slow-burning frustration. Not loud, not messy, but there in it simmered. Selena wasn't interested in shocking the world. She wanted to outlast it. Her early performances, even as she transitioned into music, were criticized for lacking range or depth. But what people missed was that she was laying the foundation, not for a rebrand, but for a redefinition. She wasn't reinventing herself for attention. She was evolving on her own terms. And while the world was distracted by louder headlines, Selena was quietly becoming something far more enduring than controversy: credible. When Selena Gomez launched her music career, critics barely raised an eyebrow. Her band, Selena Gomez and the Scene, was labeled as formulaic pop, lightweight, manufactured. The kind of music designed more for Disney playlists than serious radio rotation. And for a while, that critique stuck. Her vocals were soft, her image still wrapped in PG-rated gloss, and she didn't belt like the vocal powerhouses of her generation. The industry whispered that she was a better actress than singer, a cute face, not a serious artist. But Selena wasn't chasing approval. She was refining her identity. Step by step, beat by beat, she began exploring darker sounds, richer themes, and bolder visuals. Gone were the bubblegum hooks. Enter the moodier, sultry tones of Revival. Her 2015 solo album didn't just mark a shift in her sound, it announced her arrival as a woman in full control of her art. Songs like Good For You and Hands to Myself showcased a sensual, confident side of Selena that audiences hadn't seen before. It was vulnerable, yes, but also commanding. And perhaps most importantly, it was unapologetically hers. Behind the mic, she was still battling inner critics, many of them internal. Years of being overlooked had left their mark. Was she good enough? Would anyone listen without judging her through a Disney filter? But every track on Revival answered that question louder than any interview could. She wasn't here to prove she could sing like Adele. She was here to tell her story, in her voice, with her truth. And slowly, the world started listening. In 2014, Selena Gomez vanished from the spotlight. No dramatic exit, no public explanation, just silence. And in Hollywood, silence sparks rumors. The tabloids had a field day, claiming burnout, emotional breakdowns, diva behavior. But the truth was something far more serious and far more human. Selena had been diagnosed with lupus, a chronic autoimmune disease where the body attacks its own tissues and organs. The condition can cause everything from extreme fatigue and joint pain to organ failure. And while the media obsessed over her fluctuating weight or canceled tour dates, Selena was quietly undergoing chemotherapy. Let that sink in. She was 22, at the height of her fame, and instead of celebrating, she was fighting for her life. It wasn't until years later, in 2017, that the world learned the full extent of what she endured. In a shocking Instagram post, she revealed that she had undergone a kidney transplant with her best friend Francia Raisa as the donor. The scar was visible. The impact was not. For most stars, a medical reveal is a press move. For Selena, it was a reckoning. She wasn't trying to gain sympathy, she was finally reclaiming her narrative. The public reaction shifted overnight. Suddenly, the slowed-down Selena made sense. The breakups, the absence from red carpets, the change in her body, all of it had a reason. And for the first time, even the most cynical critics had to admit she wasn't a product. She was a survivor. That moment became a turning point. Her voice, both literal and metaphorical, grew stronger, her image more grounded. She was no longer just a pop star. She was proof that pain doesn't have to define you, but it can transform you. There's no Selena Gomez story without the Justin chapter. For years, their on-again, off-again relationship played out like a real-time soap opera. Paparazzi followed their every move. Fans shipped them hard. And through it all, Selena remained relatively quiet until the ending hit like a bomb. After nearly a decade of back and forth, Justin Bieber was suddenly engaged. Not to Selena, but to Hailey Baldwin, just months after he and Selena had reportedly reconciled. The internet exploded. The betrayal wasn't just personal, it was public. Fans dissected timelines, compared ring sizes, turned every social media post into an indirect message. For Selena, it wasn't just heartbreak, it was heartbreak under a microscope. Then came Lose You to Love Me, a piano ballad soaked in raw pain and rebirth. No names were mentioned, but everyone knew. The lyrics were a quiet scream. In 2 months, you replaced us like it was easy. The world paused. This wasn't Disney Selena. This was a woman stripped bare, singing from scar tissue. The song hit #1 on the Billboard charts. But more than that, it redefined her public image. She wasn't just Justin's ex anymore. She was the one who walked through fire and came out the other side stronger. What made it even more powerful was her restraint. She never bashed him, never started drama. She let the music speak, and in doing so, she took control of a narrative that had always been written for her. And that's the secret. Her glow-up wasn't revenge, it was release. She let go, and in the process, found herself again. By 2020, Selena had been through enough to warrant a full-blown reinvention. But instead of returning with a flashy tour or a scandalous photo shoot, she did something unexpected. She launched a makeup brand. But Rare Beauty wasn't just another celebrity vanity project. It was a mission, a movement, and a mirror for everything she had endured. Built around the idea that being rare is about being comfortable with yourself, the brand focused on self-acceptance, mental health awareness, and dismantling toxic beauty standards. It wasn't about contour kits or filtered perfection. It was about authenticity. Critics rolled their eyes at first. Another celeb trying to cash in on cosmetics? Please. Then Rare Beauty did something none of them saw coming. It became a billion-dollar brand. Its success wasn't just in its sales. It was in its story. Selena embedded mental health resources into the company's DNA. She funded initiatives, promoted open dialogue, and positioned her brand as an extension of her heart, not her ego. And fans responded. Young girls who had grown up with Selena now had a product that reflected their real lives, not airbrushed ideals. And more importantly, they had a role model who wasn't pretending to be flawless. Selena didn't just conquer beauty, she redefined it. She made soft power the new strong. She became quietly and intentionally one of the most influential forces in celebrity entrepreneurship. While others shouted for relevance, she whispered, and the world leaned in. The next phase of Selena's evolution wasn't marked by a product launch or a red carpet. It was marked by absence. She began taking frequent breaks from social media, not for attention, but for survival. "I'm done," she said in one candid live. "I'm tired of seeing myself." Her posts became infrequent, her presence more curated, and yet she felt more real than ever. Why? Because when she did speak, it mattered. In 2022, she released her rawest project yet, My Mind and Me, a documentary chronicling her battles with bipolar disorder, panic attacks, and imposter syndrome. It wasn't pretty, it wasn't polished, but it was powerful. We saw her breakdowns, her therapy sessions, her darkest nights, and instead of being edited out, those moments were spotlighted because they were real. Selena was no longer explaining her choices, she was simply living them. If she gained weight, she didn't owe anyone an explanation. If she stepped away from fame, it wasn't a stunt. It was self-preservation. And fans noticed the shift. She became the anti-influencer, the celebrity who didn't sell perfection, but humanity. Her vulnerability didn't make her fragile, it made her fearless. In a world addicted to control, Selena found peace in letting go. And ironically, that's what gave her more control than ever. There was no grand announcement, no viral photo shoot screaming, "I've arrived." But somewhere between 2019 and 2023, the world started looking at Selena Gomez differently. And not just the fans, everyone. The red carpets told the story first. Gone were the playful prints and safe silhouettes of her Disney days. In their place, sleek architectural gowns, muted tones that whispered sophistication. A new posture, shoulders back, chin high, gaze steady. She didn't walk the carpet like someone trying to be seen. She walked like someone who no longer needed approval. Her face had matured too, but not in a Hollywood chiseled filter-perfect way. It was more lived in, like someone who'd faced real pain and didn't feel the need to hide it. A slight softness around her jaw, a heaviness in the eyes. Not tired, just knowing. Fans called it her grown woman era, and the world started to take notice. Campaigns followed. Rare Beauty's visual branding evolved, less commercial, more cinematic. Her social posts were no longer perfectly curated highlight reels. Instead, you'd find blurry mirror selfies, stripped-down moments, and TikToks that felt like FaceTime calls with your best friend. Even paparazzi shots changed in tone. She wasn't being photographed for scandals anymore. She was being celebrated for her confidence. The once dismissed starlet had transformed into a muse, a force. What made it more compelling? She never forced it. Selena's glow-up didn't scream, "Look at me!" It asked, "Why didn't you see me before?" And that's what made it undeniable. Out of everything Selena Gomez has faced in the public eye, autoimmune disease, heartbreak, mental health battles, nothing has been as persistently invasive as the war over her body. The scrutiny she's endured is staggering, and what makes it more painful is that it never really stops. No matter how far she evolves, her body remains a target for speculation, mockery, and commentary, most of it cruel, uninvited, and relentless. Her weight fluctuations have been a subject of headlines since her late teens, but what most people failed to understand or chose to ignore was that her lupus diagnosis and the medications required to manage it, including steroids, directly impact her metabolism, hormones, and appearance. Add that to the emotional toll of living under a microscope, and you begin to understand why her body became a battleground. When Selena would gain weight, tabloids ran headlines like, "What happened to Selena's figure?" or "Is she letting herself go?" If she lost weight, the tone wasn't much better. "Is she okay? Too skinny?" Selena's shocking new look. No matter what she did, her body became public property for critique, and the emotional toll of this scrutiny can't be overstated. But then something changed. Instead of hiding, apologizing, or rushing to snap back, Selena leaned in. She began speaking out, not with fury, but with humor and raw honesty. In one viral TikTok video, she calmly addressed the endless opinions about her appearance. "I'm a little bit big right now because I enjoyed myself during the holidays. Honestly, I don't care about my weight because people bitch about it anyway." It was real, it was unfiltered, it was pure Selena. What struck people most wasn't just what she said, it was how she said it. She wasn't trying to clap back. She was setting a boundary. She was reminding the world that she is human, not a product to be judged, analyzed, or dissected. And fans rallied around her. Millions shared their own stories of body image struggles, eating disorders, and self-acceptance. Selena had become a mirror, not of perfection, but of vulnerability, of quiet defiance. Her message is consistent now: health over appearance, peace over perfection. She embraces the softness in her face, the shape of her body, and the power of not caring what strangers think. In a culture that often equates glow-ups with getting skinnier or more filtered, Selena redefined the entire concept. Her glow-up wasn't about shrinking to fit a mold. It was about expanding into her full, unapologetic self. For a long time, Selena Gomez was treated as a celebrity first and an actress second, if at all. Her work in Wizards of Waverly Place made her a household name, but it also boxed her in. She was the sarcastic teenager, the Disney darling, the background girl in big-budget ensembles. Hollywood smiled politely, but rarely gave her credit as a performer. And to be fair, Selena herself stepped away from acting at points. Her focus shifted to music, to health, to personal growth. But deep down, she knew she had more to offer. She just needed the right role and the right moment. That moment arrived in 2021 with Only Murders in the Building, a Hulu original series pairing her with comedic legends Steve Martin and Martin Short. The premise was quirky: three strangers obsessed with true crime who team up to solve a murder in their upscale New York apartment complex. But what no one expected was how integral Selena would be to its success. She played Mabel, a mysterious, guarded young woman hiding secrets of her own. The character was complex, introverted, witty, and simmering with grief. And Selena nailed it. She didn't try to overact or compete with her co-star's comedic timing. Instead, she anchored the show with subtle emotion and razor-sharp delivery. Her performance was praised as surprisingly layered, emotionally grounded, and the show's secret weapon. Suddenly, the industry was looking at her differently. She wasn't just a name to attract Gen Z audiences. She was a true actress with range, control, and presence. The critical recognition followed. She earned Emmy nominations, acting award nods, and finally, after years of being underestimated, respect from the same circles that once ignored her. But beyond the awards, what mattered most was the shift in perception. She was no longer being asked if she'd return to acting. People now asked what she would do next. There was weight behind her name, authority, demand. Selena's acting glow-up was like the rest of her journey, measured, thoughtful, and powerful. She didn't have to beg for roles. She created one that demanded attention, and in doing so, she proved she was never just a Disney kid. She was a star in her own right, one who could carry a story with just a look. Selena Gomez never needed to declare a new era to evolve. She didn't post dramatic rebrand videos or delete her entire Instagram to grab headlines. Her transformation wasn't loud, it wasn't trendy, it was gradual, intentional, and built from the inside out. Over the past decade, she survived more than most people will ever know, some of it public, much of it private. She's faced physical illness, emotional trauma, and a culture obsessed with tearing her apart piece by piece. But she never let it break her. Instead, she bent, she healed, she learned, and she grew. Her glow up wasn't just about style or makeup or fame, it was about identity. She moved from being someone people looked at to someone people listened to, from being seen as a sidekick or an ex-girlfriend to commanding entire movements centered around authenticity, mental health, and self-worth. She didn't become a queen by dominating others. She did it by leading with vulnerability, by speaking when it mattered and staying silent when it didn't, by knowing that real power isn't about screaming for attention, it's about being secure enough not to need it. Today, Selena sits at the intersection of cultural relevance, emotional resonance, and entrepreneurial success. She's not chasing trends, she's setting standards for what it means to be a woman in the spotlight, for what it means to age with grace, and for what it means to turn pain into purpose. So many celebrity glow-ups are about shock value, about rising from the ashes in a blaze of controversy. Selena's was different. She didn't burn it all down. She rebuilt quietly, from the soul outward. And now, she doesn't need a throne, because the crown was never the point. The peace was.